Hello and welcome to a fresh new episode of Science Monitor, our weekly update on all that is happening in the field of science and technology in and around the country. I'm Aishwarya Kapoor with you. From Terry being ranked #1 to Venus-Jupiter conjunction, the week was quite eventful in terms of science. Well, before we bring you the details, let's take a look at the headlines. Terry ranked #1 among developing country think tanks. Health survey on social consumption releases key indicators. Data states Indians prefer allopathy. Multiple drug-resistant TB may be easy to control, say experts. A visual treat for sky watchers. Venus and Jupiter come together in conjunction. In our In Focus segment today, we will discuss about the role played by science in bringing social change. And now the news in detail. The Energy and Resources Institute, popularly known as TERI, is a prime Indian name in the field of environment assessment and sustainable solutions. Now, in a proud moment for the entire nation, TERI has been ranked first among the developing country think tanks, while being ranked 12th globally. Now, this ranking comes from the International Center for Climate Governance. More in this report.
With climate change emerging as a major concern worldwide, assessment of the changes to mitigate its effects has also emerged as a major field. In a proud moment for the nation, the Energy and Resources Institute, popular as TERI, has been ranked as #1 among the developing country institutions working on climate change. The announcement has come from the International Center for Climate Governance's climate think tank. TERI has been ranked under the category Absolute Rankings through standardized ranking methods based on many comparable indicators. While ranked #1 among developing nations, TERI has been ranked #12 globally. Only think tanks working at the international level were assessed during the ranking, and the ranking was based upon coherent and checkable data. The ranking parameters include research and dissemination activities on climate change, economics and policy, practical solutions offered to problems and involvement of public policymakers, experts and partners. Established in 1974, the Energy and Resources Institute, popular as TERI, is an independent, not-for-profit research institute focused on energy, environment and sustainable development. The institute works towards solving challenges of efficient and sustainable use of natural resources.
Despite the availability of alternate medicines, allopathy has been much popular in our country. Evidencing this is the recent health survey conducted on social consumption by National Sample Survey Office. The survey has also brought to light many interesting health and healthcare facts, including the finding that rural Indians are ill and hospitalized less frequently compared to urban. Let's see in this report.
Is rural India healthier than urban India? And what forms of treatments does Indian population commonly seek? Answering these questions is the health survey on social consumption, conducted by National Sample Survey Office of Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation. The survey, which has brought forth many key indicators of health in India, was conducted based on data collected during the period January to June 2014 from 4,577 villages in rural areas and 3,720 urban blocks spread over all states and union territories of India. According to the survey, during a 15-day reference period, 89 per 1,000 persons reported illness in rural area against 118 persons per 1,000 in urban areas. In a period of 365 days, the proportion of persons hospitalized in the rural areas was lower compared to that of cities. However, it was also observed that people went untreated for longer periods in rural areas than in urban. The survey indicates that allopathic treatment and private doctors are favored in both urban and rural areas. According to statistics, 72% cases in the rural areas and 79% in the urban areas are treated in the private sector. People have been reported to spend higher amounts on healthcare in private hospitals than public hospitals, with highest expenditure recorded for treatment of cancer, followed by cardiovascular diseases. The survey also brings out interesting facts that presently about 86% of rural population and 82% of urban population are still not covered under any scheme of health expenditure support, and about 20% of childbirths in rural areas occur at home.
While tuberculosis or TB continues to be a mortal infection, the emergence of deadly drug-resistant strains of the TB bacteria has wreaked havoc around the world. With drugs becoming ineffective against these resistant strains, TB is likely to become a worldwide epidemic. But on a positive note, experts have now suggested that drug-resistant TB may be easier to control than drug-susceptible TB.
Tuberculosis, an affliction that still kills millions worldwide every year. With the emergence of drug-resistant strains of tuberculosis bacteria, the threat has increased even more. But here comes encouraging news for all those living under the fear of multiple drug-resistant tuberculosis, or MDR-TB. According to experts, there are greater chances of controlling the spread of MDR-TB than the drug-susceptible TB, as the strains are less fit and hence less capable of spreading. The findings come from a study carried out in South Lima and Callao, Peru, which involved tracking of 213 MDR-TB patients and 1,055 of their household contacts. It was observed that while only 35 out of 213 of MDR-TB contacts developed MDR-TB, 114 of 2,362 drug-susceptible TB contacts developed TB. The findings clearly suggest that MDR-TB patients are less likely to transmit the disease to others living in the same household when compared to patients of drug-susceptible TB. The study also found that male members of the family sleeping in the same room as the patient had higher incidence of getting infected than those who did not share a sleeping room. Also, members who had diabetes or HIV or who had a previous history of active TB had higher incidence of active TB. The study offers a new hope for controlling the spread of MDR-TB, which is more fatal than drug-susceptible TB.
It was as if two planets have merged to become one huge bright star. The conjunction of Venus and Jupiter was a visual treat to sky watchers as the two planets became visible together in the same field on the western horizons recently.
In a mesmerizing celestial event, the world recently witnessed the coming together of two brightest planets in the solar system, Venus and Jupiter. The phenomenon, which is known as conjunction, occurred on June 30th and July 1st, as the Venus and Jupiter were only 6 degrees apart in the sky. Conjunctions are said to occur when two celestial objects have the same right ascension or the same ecliptic longitude as seen from the Earth. In the case of recent conjunction of Venus and Jupiter, though the planets are separated by millions of kilometers, they appeared close as a single bright star because of their positions that almost formed a straight line with Earth. The conjunction, which was second in the series after the first on 18th August 2014, was visible in the western horizon after sunset on June 30th in the United States and other western countries, and on Australia and the East, including India on July 1st. During the conjunction, both planets were seen in the same field of view, with Venus appearing as a brilliant fat crescent and Jupiter accompanied by its 4 largest moons when observed through a telescope. Also, in a visual illusion, Venus, which is 58 million miles away from Earth and much smaller than Jupiter, was observed to be almost of the same size as Jupiter. For those who missed the visual treat, experts have predicted that the third conjunction in the series will take place on October 26th this year.
Well, it is time to take a short break here. We'll be right back. Keep watching Science Monitor. Welcome back after the break. You're watching Science Monitor. While technology makes life easier, science in itself is a way of life. Offering logical attitude and practical solutions, science broadens human vision and plays a huge role in bringing social change. So how does science influence society and bring about social changes? Well, this would be the topic of our discussion in our next segment, In Focus.
What is the one thing that separates humans from other life forms? One can answer without thinking: civilization. We as humans have managed to set up a complex society that is characterized by urban development, social stratification, symbolic communication, and domination over the natural environment. But what is the element that has shaped and guided man's journey from rocky caves to skyscrapers? The key is science. There was a time when ancient man perceived natural phenomena like eclipses, earthquakes, and outbreak of epidemics as wrath of gods. Superstitions, which in turn fuels fear and retard progress, prevailed in the world. Slowly and steadily, science has helped us discover the underlying principles of most of the natural process which were once considered a mystery. This knowledge in turn helped in devising management measures and develops drugs to cure diseases. As a result, today, many diseases, for example plague, which was once feared as Black Death, has come under control. Let us take a simple example to understand how science brings social changes: the science of hygiene. In olden times, when humans were unaware of the importance of cleanliness and hygiene, rates of infection and mortality were quite high. But scientific advancement has resulted in a social change, where human beings to a large extent practice the rules of hygiene, bringing down the rates of mortality and morbidity to a large extent. In patriarchal societies like India, women are often subject to maltreatment on the birth of female children. The scientific knowledge that the gender of a child is determined by the genetic makeup of the sperm and not the egg has played a major role in uplifting the status of women in the country. Thus, the role science and scientific temper has played in shaping the human society as we see it today, and the part science plays in bringing social change, is undisputable. Science and technology brings in an attitude which involves the application of logic to deal with day-to-day matters. The habit of questioning, observation, testing, analysis, and clear communication, which is the essence of science, helps in the eradication of irrational beliefs, actions, and discriminations, which are often the root cause of misery and poverty. From the most fundamental discoveries like the fire and wheel, to today's supercomputers and nanoparticle-based technologies, everything is but the gift of science. while advanced farming methods have brought in increased food security. Industries, to a large extent, have made lives easier. Science has indeed helped us dispel a lot of unnatural fears and provides us with a new view of the universe and the society. It would be apt to say that progress of humanity has been parallel to the progress of science. If any organization or the country as a whole were to achieve progress, it is absolutely necessary to foster science and technology. Scientifically informed citizens are capable of critical evaluation and making rational and progressive decisions. The lack of this plunges a nation into superstitions and hampers the progress.
Let us now have a look at some important science and technology activities happening in India and abroad in our next segment, Science Express.
In a step towards boosting agriculture in the country and ensuring food security, foundation stones have been laid for a premier institute for development and research in agricultural sector, Indian Agriculture Research Institute at Jharkhand. The foundation stone was laid by Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi on 28th June 2015 at Goria Karma village in Barhi, Hazaribagh, Jharkhand. The soon-to-come-up 1,000-acre campus will focus on multidisciplinary research work towards catering to the local farming system needs of the region. Highlighting the various measures adopted by the government to ensure pollution control, Environment Minister Shri Prakash Javadekar has announced that India is one of the leading countries in the world to establish protocol for continuous monitoring of air and water pollution. According to reports, industrial waste has been considerably reduced in the country after the mandating of pollution monitoring sensors in industries. Shri Prakash Javadekar also stressed on the need of installing zero liquid discharge systems to recycle industrial waste. Strengthening cooperation in health sector. India and USA recently signed memorandums of understanding on cooperation of cancer research, prevention, control and management, and collaboration in environmental and occupational health and injury prevention and control, along with a letter of intent on antimicrobial resistance research. The MOUs have been signed between premier R&D institutes of India and USA and aims to strengthen cooperation in the treatment and management of cancer, along with capacity building in environmental and occupational health. And the letter of intent aims to strengthen cooperation between the two countries in antimicrobial resistance research. Besides defense strategies, Indian Army has proved its skills in innovation as well. An Indian Army unit posted in northern state of Jammu and Kashmir has come up with a technique to generate cooking gas from food waste, decomposable organic material and kitchen waste. The unit makes use of a centralized digester tank to grind kitchen wastes and generate methane at low temperature. The technique has not only succeeded in generating gas to light a biogas stove for about 2 hours, but also helps in efficient disposal of wastes without any odor or attracting flies. In order to keep up with the slowing of Earth, the clocks across the world were paused momentarily on 30th June midnight. The pause was made to add a leap second, keeping official time neatly in sync with the night and day. The Earth's rotation is being continuously slowed down due to the gravitational pull acting on Earth's oceanic tides. In order to keep with precise timing, a leap second is added to the clocks across the world. Leap seconds have been added to the world's computers around once a year since 1972, and this is the 26th edition.
While science plays a huge role in development, scientists are harbingers of social change. In our special Meet the Scientist segment today, we will meet Professor Maharaj K. Pandit, who is the head of Department of Environmental Studies, Radcliffe Institute for Advanced Study, Harvard University. Well known for his outstanding contributions in the field of ecology, environment and sustainability, Dr. Pandit's publications on understanding of land use changes in Himalayas and its effect on ecosystems are much acclaimed. Take a look.
Professor Maharaj K. Pandit, popular as Professor M.K. Pandit among his peers, is one of those researchers from whom conquering difficult terrains is a passion. Having spent 30 years of his life understanding the unique ecosystems of the majestic Himalayas, Professor Pandit's contribution spans ecology, environment and sustainability.
Dr. Virendra Kumar, my teacher, who used to teach at Zakir Hussain College, which was earlier Delhi College and subsequently has now become Zakir Hussain Delhi College. So he was instrumental in, in bringing me or in inspiring me to work on the Himalaya, because much of his work related to Himalaya. And subsequently, I, as a student, accompanied him in the field and also worked in his lab. And therefore, I have only walked, breathed, eaten only Himalaya. So I didn't know anything else except Himalaya. So he was instrumental in bringing me to the Himalaya.
Born in a small village near Pahalgaon in Jammu and Kashmir, Professor Pandit received a PhD degree from University of Delhi for carrying out interesting work on endemic flora of Himalayas. Recently honored as a Radcliffe Fellow by Harvard University, Professor Pandit is a professor at Department of Environmental Studies, University of Delhi, a Fellow of Linnean Society of London and Visiting Fellow, National University of Singapore. An ardent nature lover, Professor M.K. Pandit is known for his exemplary research on the Himalayan terrains and its fragile ecosystems. Heading the environmental impact assessment studies of large dams that have been constructed upstream in Himalayas, he clearly pointed out the effects of these on endemic biodiversity. His understanding of land use change in Himalayas and its effect on the delicate Himalayan ecosystems has been appreciated globally. Professor Pandit is one of those few scientists who have to his credit publications in some of the most prestigious scientific journals like Nature. His research publications on ecological issues in journals like New Phytologist, Bioscience, Science and Conservation Biology, and his research on prediction of the disasters that struck the Kedarnath hills has given a new perspective to ecological studies. A dedicated researcher collaborating with experts in Germany, USA and UK, he spends most of his time in the laboratory and field and is revered as an excellent teacher by his students.
The only mantra which I always tell my students is challenge the solidity of existing paradigms. If they are solid, try to break them. Because science is all about conjectures and refutations. We must bring new knowledge to challenge an established theme.
Presently a scholar in residence at Harvard, Professor Pandit is on the verge of completing his book entitled Life in the Himalayas.
How Himalaya, at what point of time, how it sort of developed. So that is what that's what I am discussing, this different stages of Himalaya, and of course then the life, how the life developed and how people came about it. There is phenomenal kind of work which is not my work, but work of human genetics which is happening, on mostly by Chinese workers, because unfortunately not much is happening in India. Who were the first people who inhabited Himalaya, and how did they change Himalaya? So where was the agriculture developed first? Did it develop first in a very high Himalaya, or it started down? So these are some of the things which I will investigate and which I will sort of talk about.
As part of the fellowship, Pandit has been invited to deliver public lectures at Harvard and other institutions. Despite lucrative offers from various quarters, Professor Pandit refuses to leave Himalayas behind. His research and passion for environment conservation is indeed an inspiration for the young, upcoming researchers of the nation.
Well, that is all for this episode of Science Monitor. Do tell us, how do you like our program? You can send your feedback and suggestions. Our email ID is news@vigyanprasar.gov.in. You can also write into us at Vigyan Prasar C24, Qutub Institutional Area, New Delhi 110016. Well, that is all for today. We'll be back with fresh news stories on science and technology again next week. Till then, stay tuned to Rajya Subha TV. Bye-bye and take care.